Hi, welcome to Bespoke Unit. I'm CP, and in this video I'm reviewing the Oliva Serie V. As with all our cigar reviews, we'll be using the Bespoke Unit Cigar Formula, a quantifiable review matrix that you can use at home. Simply look in the description, you'll find a link which will take you to a guide on how to use it, as well as provide you with some PDF downloadables with blank copies for your own cigar reviews. Furthermore, these cigars have spent the last 3 weeks in the Boveda acrylic humidor that you can see behind me. They were stored there with 69% Boveda packs and were monitored closely with a Boveda butler. This ensures that they were properly acclimated and prepared for this review in a standardized process. The Serie V is probably one of Oliva's best known blends, and even more so thanks to the highly coveted Melanio Serie V. The assembly takes place at the Tabilosa Oliva de Nicaragua SA, which is also known as Tabilosa. There's just been a new factory that was built and finished in January 2020 called Tabilosa 1, and going forward this is probably where those cigars are going to be produced. They're rolled using an accordion style, so it's hecho a mano, it's made by hand. The wrapper is a Habano Sun Grown, and the filler is Nicaraguan. I don't have much more information on that. And the filler is a Nicaraguan Jalapa Valley Ligero. As the Oliva Serie V is such a wide and diverse blend, it comes in a variety of different vitolas. The one I have in my hand is the double robusto 5x54, as you can see here's another example. But I also have, and I've been trying, the lancero, which is a 7x38. This is a very different experience. Although it provides you with the same flavour profile, the experience overall is quite different, and we'll talk about it through the review. There are also a couple of others, such as an extra Churchill and a Bellicoso. We'll start with the cigar's look and feel, for which I'll be using an unsmoked double robusto, as you can see in my hand here. The first thing you'll notice is that it has what appears to be a very straight and well-constructed body. Indeed, it has a lovely, firm spring, and the soft spots are very few, if there are any at all. As for its colour, you can expect a sort of coffee bean hue, which reveals some oily sheen on the wrapper, as well as a few rustic veins, but nothing too disconcerting. As for the aromas, I experienced some nutmeg, barnyard and arborwood on the foot, arborwood being a resinous oud that is often used in perfumery. As for the Prelight, the draw can be a little bit on the tight side, but is still quite ideal for those who prefer a touch of resistance and has some balanced flavours. On the dry draw, I experienced tonka bean, pistachio and cinnamon. What's particularly interesting here was the tonka bean was quite rich and gourmand, whereas the pistachio added a little crisp nuttiness to it as well, and the cinnamon provided a spicy base. Next up, we'll be talking about the palate and the flavour profile of the cigar. First of all, I've smoked a number of these. In fact, I smoked 3 for the purposes of this review, but I've actually smoked quite a few Serie Vs in my time. The first third opens up with a rich woody bouquet, which is dominated by what I believe is to be mahogany, which is quite opulent and quite deep. It is accompanied by coffee bean notes as well as black pepper, which you'll find is a consistent note throughout the whole cigar. Once into the second third, the mahogany transitions to a much more fragrant rosewood, which is particularly appealing and opened up a richer tableau of flavour. And this goes quite well with the accompanying notes, such as molasses, which is quite syrupy, creamy, not overly sweet, as well as black pepper, once again, which we experience from the first third. Once into the final third, you'll likely notice that this woody characteristic has transferred now from rosewood into oak. In this context, it is much more verbose, quite opulent, and lacks the fragrance that you experienced in the first and second third. Here, it is accompanied by cocoa beans, which are distinctively toasted, as well as some coffee beans, going back to the first third, yet here they seem a lot more roasted than the coffee beans experienced earlier. As for the overall palate of the cigar, although I found it to be a very pleasant cigar overall, it did seem to lack in the nuanced complexities that you would expect. Nevertheless, it did have a velvety and very smooth mouthfeel. Similarly, the astringents was very balanced, meaning that it wasn't overly dry nor produced too much salivation. This links to the palate stimulation, which was quite balanced. It starts at the front of the tongue and slowly moves back and stimulates the rear of the tongue as you progress. The life cycle is quite developed, given that you do have reoccurring and consistent themes such as the woody characteristic and the black pepper. And finally, the finish. It is quite lingering. It does stay on the palate for a short amount of time, which helps you finish your drink or whatever beverage you're accompanying it. And finally, the residual scent in the room. I find it to be okay. It's not offensive by any means, but I didn't find it to be the most pleasant and fragrant odour as other cigars. As for the overall burn and combustion of the cigar, the draw stays consistent throughout the smoke. It doesn't exactly loosen or tighten in any way. Similarly, it provides you a cool experience, and the angle stays relatively straight. However, as you can see, I'm here in the end of the second third, and it does have a little bit of burning issue which needs to be touched up. However, the backbone is very, very strong. It doesn't break very easily, and you can produce some very fine ashes. I'm going to take this opportunity actually to talk about the lancero. I didn't mention it in the palette necessarily. However, this is a great cigar for connoisseurs and seasoned enthusiasts who are looking for a unique experience. As you can see, it is very thin and very long. This means that when you smoke it too hard and too fast, which some beginners do, it can be very hot and unpleasant. Similarly, when you smoke a cigar that's too hot, it will start to burn away the oils and the aromatic compounds. Therefore, you lose out on the subtle flavors that you can get from a cigar. This cigar offers perhaps the same overall flavor profile as a double robusto. However, if you smoke it correctly, you'll find it much more rewarding. Whereas the double robusto perhaps isn't quite as complex and nuanced as you would want. If you're looking for a greater and more opulent experience, the lancero will be able to deliver that in spades. Indeed, it may be a very challenging cigar for some to smoke. However, those who do try and do it properly will be greatly rewarded for their efforts. Finally, we'll conclude the scored sections of this review by talking about the overall experience of the cigar. First of all, the band has a very distinctive style, quite elegant, that has a blend of coffee colours as well as reds. On the sides you'll see Liga Especial, which is the alternative name for the Oliva Serie V. The band is elegant and attractive, and above all, very easy to remove. In terms of the box, you can see a couple of pictures of those in our written review, which is in the link in the description. There you'll be able to also see a full version of this cigar formula, so you can see exactly how we've scored the cigar. The box has a classic, understated and modest, elegant design, which is made out of a brown wood, which is quite reminiscent of perhaps the wrapper and as well as the center brown on the band. As for the value of these cigars, they are in the sub $10 range. A double robusto single should cost you around $9. This would be obviously less if you decide to buy a whole box, because it will be less per stick. I believe that Paul, the founder of Bespoke Unit, managed to find a couple of boxes of the different blends on sale, and I'm not sure exactly the price it came to, but I believe $6 per stick was about the sort of price he told me. And finally, as for the occasion of the cigar, I believe that the Oliva Serie V to be a very versatile blend that you can smoke for a variety of different circumstances. For instance, it would look very much in place whether you're going to a lounge or a special occasion, such as a wedding. However, it can also be enjoyed among friends, given that it isn't over $10 in cost. Similarly, this is a good cigar to smoke in the evening or in the late afternoon. You could potentially smoke it at night as well, and it would be a great digestif following a hearty meal. This leads on to the pairings, which is the last consideration in the review, and we keep them in the bottom right corner of every sheet. However, it is not scored. This is just some considerations that we have that we thought we could share with you for pairing the cigar. Firstly, I think this would be a great cigar to go with a rib-eye steak that has been grilled. So it's a great cigar for a barbecue. Specifically, those beefy char-grilled notes would go quite nicely with the pepper and woodiness of the cigar. Similarly, dark chocolate would be a great option given its gourmand characteristics. Alternatively, you could also go for a pepperoni pizza that's specially been cooked on a wood fire. That would go quite nicely with the woody characteristics as well as the pepper notes of the cigar. As for beverages, I would personally consider accompanying this with a fine champagne cognac. That is a cognac that has been made from grapes and eau de vie that were produced in the Grand and Petit Champagne areas. You can learn more about different types of cognacs with our cognac guides. There's a link in the description so you can learn more. Similarly, an Islay Scotch single malt would be a great option as well, especially those peaty notes, the smokiness would probably enhance the woody experiences and the molasses in the second third of this cigar. And finally, if you're going to pair this with coffee, I'd probably go for a dark roast espresso, perhaps something from Costa Rica that has a certain fruitiness. Overall, the Oliva Serie V is a very versatile cigar with a variety of different vitolas that you can enjoy according to your personal preferences. Indeed, it is a cigar with a distinctive flavor profile, which is probably why it is so popular among the cigar smoking community. If you're looking for something that is reliable and consistent, then I would certainly recommend the Oliva Serie V. It's great also for beginners who have already started a couple of mild cigars and looking for something a little bit more full-bodied that isn't overwhelming either. That's all from me today. I hope you've enjoyed this video. If you have done, don't forget to subscribe. And until then, why don't you head to our channel, see more of our videos, or head to bespokeunit.com to see more men's lifestyle content. Until next time, take care.